Hello and welcome to another beautiful edition of HTR Radio. This is episode 310. I am Mr. Wikipedia and I am, of course, joined by my boy, Shane Howard.
What's going on, HTR?
Sorry, I had my YouTube. I was trying to get into the YouTube chat and I had my volume on blast and of course, it was blowing me up, but it's all good. We got a jam-packed show tonight. This weekend is one of the big four. We've got Survivor Series coming on this weekend, Shane. So we did a little fantasy warfare, if you will, getting ready for Survivor Series. But the show in general, the real one, not the one that we're putting on. Are you pumped? Are you excited? Are you ready to go come Sunday for Survivor Series?
No, actually not. The whole Raw versus SmackDown team warfare thing, I'm not feeling it yet, and I just need some kind of incentive, like other than the brand pride. Like I want some incentive. Yeah, you have like the cruiserweight matches. The cruiserweight match that has an incentive. If you win this title, and you can even take the entire division to your side. And the same thing with the Miz versus Sami Zayn. You win that title, so you could possibly bring that title to your brand. Like that's something where I'm like, ooh. I can see the cruiserweight end up on SmackDown. I can see the Intercontinental title, going to this brand. But this Raw versus SmackDown just for, red pride or blue pride. I'm sorry, we just came from, we just got done with our elections. I don't need to see any red versus blue right now.
I feel you. But I got a question, Shane. Are you telling me that the big rah-rah speech from the dead man didn't rile you up for Survivor Series? His big pep talk?
That was cool and all. It was cool seeing The Undertaker back and, having him say that he is back. That was nice to see. It was a nice moment. But it's still not gonna make me say, "Oh my God, some Survivor Series." I just think it's first of all, it is far too much. 3 different Survivor Series matches. That's a lot.
Well, that's the theme. That's the theme. We Hell in a Cell. How many cages? Everything they're gonna do in 3s now.
It's a lot, and I'm just no. That's just quite too much for me. But it's cool to see Undertaker back. I find it like crazy how when you see the Undertaker after WrestleMania, we always see these random pictures of him, and he looks like he is the crypt keeper, like he's truly the dead man. These pictures of the Undertaker in the airport, or Undertaker in like Whole Foods or wherever the hell he might be shopping for groceries, and he's like this thin, skeletal-looking person, and then when he shows up on TV like 2 months later, he's back to this buff dude. It's like, does the WWE have like some kind of pump that they just stick into the Undertaker and pump him up just before he gets back on TV?
I didn't know Whole Foods was in parts unknown, but I guess not. Walmart's probably there too. But yeah, I agree. It's kind of weird. I'm not super psyched to see him back in any capacity, because for me, his matches the last 3-4 years, I just, they've been lackluster for me. So I know that he's done a lot for a lot of folks and has match of the year at WrestleMania for a lot of folks. I'm just not one of those guys. But we saw the Brothers of Destruction in their post SmackDown clip. It was a web exclusive, so that will be interesting, I guess, to see them, maybe teaming up for one last run. And by God, please, I'm begging you, please have them take the titles off of those two no-name guys. I know people are in love, infatuated, mainly Demetrius Stokes, who is absent here today with Heath Slater. But they do nothing for me. Nothing. So I'd rather have them take one last run at glory, get the tag team titles, and maybe do something with that. That's all I'm asking out of The Undertaker. I don't need a WrestleMania moment. I just need a change in titles.
Yeah, I figure the grand plan of The Undertaker returning is that, it's November, so it's getting close to, that road to WrestleMania time. And we know The Undertaker comes back usually around Royal Rumble. So this is kind of early for him. He usually hibernates a little later than this, but, he, I guess, was getting restless. Maybe Michelle McCool wasn't doing it for him at home, so he had to get back in the ring. I don't know, but I feel that he's back because the grand plan is possibly him versus John Cena at WrestleMania here in Orlando. So, Cena's currently away doing his non-WWE commitments. So perhaps, somewhere down the line, we start seeing some seeds being planted for The Undertaker versus John Cena at WrestleMania.
That's the one of the two, Cena and Taker, or I'm still holding on, broken neck and all, Sting versus The Undertaker. Until they bury that idea completely, that's the bout I want. Because the expectations, the bar shouldn't be that high for, is what I'm saying. So that is what I would like to see. But why Taker is back, we don't know. He said he's going to be here for the long run, it seems. So we will wait and we will see. Let's jump into some Survivor Series talk here. Give a little preview of what's to come here. I know you're not that excited, but maybe, just maybe, if we go through the card, your interest will peak just a little bit. We've got The Miz taking on Sami Zayn. If Zayn wins, as you mentioned earlier, the IC title will switch brands. So it will go from SmackDown, where it currently stands, as The Miz has just returned as champion this past Tuesday, and it could possibly be lost straight again to Raw. Do you see that happening? Do you see Sami Zayn getting the 1, 2, 3 and the titles changing hands and brands?
No. I don't. I would like to see Sami Zayn over on SmackDown as well as Cesaro, but no, I think The Miz retains and, stays around to continue sticking it in the face of Daniel Bryan. The only way I can see something where that title goes to Raw is if The Miz goes with it. They find something, contract-wise or something like that where The Miz ends up on Raw with the title, but I don't see Sami Zayn winning the title.
Okay. Fair enough. And that would be an interesting twist to it, especially if what I think is going to happen actually happens with the very next bout. Brian Kendrick, the current Cruiserweight champion, taking on Kalisto, with the winner keeping the title on its respective brand. If Kalisto gets the victory, they made him look strong a week ago. If he wins, then the entire Cruiserweight division moves over to SmackDown. They are starting to plant the seeds. We've gotten some Cruiserweight bouts on SmackDown now. So I think with the taping of 205 Live, that was letting us know what was going to happen. They spoiled it for us. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. And I think Kalisto becomes the new Cruiserweight champion. What says you?
Kalisto's not winning either. I feel that Baron Corbin, even though they haven't really continued this feud, there was no interaction this week on SmackDown. I feel that maybe Corbin rears his, massive lone wolf head and interferes, perhaps cost Kalisto the match, seeing as how Corbin himself is not in the Survivor Series match any longer. And with the fact that SmackDown is 2 hours, I just feel that the Cruiserweight is probably better served on Raw, seeing as how it is 3 hours. I know they're going to get their own 205 Live show, but Raw needs stuff to fill out the 3 hours. So I feel it stays there.
Very good point. We will see this Sunday. And now this is where it gets into the mess. We've got the first of the three big tag team elimination Survivor Series matches. The first, Team Raw's got the New Day, Sheamus, Cesaro, the Club, Enzo, and Cass, as well as the Shining Stars. And they're taking on Team SmackDown that's got Heath Slater and Rhino, the tag champions, the Hype Bros, American Alpha, the Usos, and Breezango. Now, just looking at the names on paper, Shane, who has the better team coming into this competition?
I mean, you on one side you have Breezango, which is a horrible name, but and then you have the Shining Stars on the other side. It's just like
it evens out.
It evens out, but it's just like, really, this is the best we can do, that these two teams actually made it on the team. It's just a shake your head moment. Like, seriously, we're better than this. Like, if these two teams are there, then why the hell aren't the Vaughn Villains and the bootleg acolytes, the Ascension there? We might as well just put all these guys who are more so fit for the hallway crew on these teams and just say, okay, go out there, entertain those who are staying put for 2 minutes while everybody else goes and gets their popcorn. But I think I'm going to give the edge to Raw here in terms of the names on paper. I'm just going to give it to Raw. Because as much as I like Heath and Rhino, they don't seem like a team that's really built for the long term at the top of the division. I'm still surprised that they have the title for this long. But yeah, I'm just gonna give it to based on paper, Raw seems like the stronger team.
Yeah, and that's about all the time that I can afford to pay attention to this match. You talked about things that don't mean anything, and that is exactly what we're talking about, because I don't get what the victor of this gets at all, so why have the match? You might be able to say the same again with the women 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. Raw has Flair, Bayley, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, Sasha Banks, and for some reason Dana Brooke is still attached, while Team SmackDown's rocking with Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Naomi, and then Natalya is attached. So another one that I could care less about. But who do you have? Team Raw, Team SmackDown?
I'm a sucker for Miss Alexa Bliss. I'm not going to go against Alexa. I hope that she's listening, and we could be Facebook friends. I'm not gonna revert back to the old Shane who's on here flirting with like Deborah McMichael and all that. But I'm a sucker for Alexa Bliss, and I just feel like having Nia Jax as this monster on your team, and it makes it look like that team is the dominant team. I feel that they're going to give SmackDown one. And I feel that this is the one for sure that they get.
I am underwhelmed with Becky Lynch. Her as a champion. So as the champion of the brand, I don't see them winning. They shouldn't win because there's nothing great about them outside of Alexa Bliss. But moving right along, Team Raw, their 5-on-5 male Survivor Series elimination match. Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins. That team is stacked. And then on SmackDown, they've got AJ Styles, Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Shane McMahon, and James Ellsworth is going to be around. Now, Shane, I have no idea what the purpose of having Shane McMahon on Team SmackDown. I don't know why he's there. I guess it's a step up. It was either him or Ellsworth, maybe. They were tossing the two names around, and they settled on Shane McMahon. But this has got to be either a lead-in for some kind of feud between Stephanie and Shane getting sparked back up, or maybe a screw job with having to do with Kevin Owens, because we never got an explanation why he's the champ over Seth Rollins from Triple H. So maybe there's some complexities there that we haven't we'll begin to see come Sunday. But again, this is weird, but I think Team Raw is much stronger.
It seems like because Raw is the big number one show, even though SmackDown this week nearly equaled them in ratings. They have the Universal title, which was just created this year. And SmackDown has the WWE Championship, which we all know for years on end that was a top title in the company. But now that title's on SmackDown, Raw is trying to make this to me seem like it's the title that is above the WWE Championship. So that being said, I feel that Raw wants to have this supremacy to show that's why they're the A show. But I always feel like when we have shows like this, just like when it was bragging rights or proving ground or whatever the heck that pay-per-view was a couple years back, when it was Raw versus SmackDown, I always feel like the creative department wants to give SmackDown, the edge on one of these pay-per-views, just to make people at home feel like, oh, we really don't see SmackDown as this, lower tier show. So we're going to have them win, these matches just to try to show everybody that they're, almost or on the same level as the Raw show. So I feel you that Raw is the more stacked brand, because I've even become a fan of Braun Strowman. But yes, I'm going to say that SmackDown wins. I feel they'll definitely get the women. I'm just going to, barely slide and say that they get this guy's win also.
All right, fair enough. Now, this is the marquee bout. Let me take a step back here. I think that they dropped the ball a little bit. They could have made this a little bit bigger, the Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, if we are truly concerned about having these brands compete against one another. Why didn't they have Brock Lesnar shouting he's the biggest and the baddest man on the planet as he truly is, and then Shane McMahon saying, no, you're not. You're not the biggest. You're not the baddest. There's one guy that has already defeated you. He's bigger and he's badder. And guess what? Because I led an invasion some years ago with WCW, I had a relationship with this guy. I'm going to bring him in, and he's going to completely annihilate and destroy you. And that man's name is Goldberg. I think if they are really going to try and sell us on this brand versus brand, why do we have 5 bouts that are doing exactly that? And then the main event, the only people on the poster, the only reason why we're supposedly supposed to tune in, has nothing to do with the brand rivalry. It's a little odd. They're just going off their name value, which they can, which is going to get them attention. But that attention only stays with those 2 guys. Why not spread the love and give SmackDown some light and put a blue T-shirt on Goldberg?
Because Raw is the name. You know, that's the name brand show. Raw. You know, you're gonna have SmackDown like the Walmart brand. They're great value, but Raw is the top brand.
Well, be that as it may, there's been talks that Goldberg said he's injured, and then on Twitter he says he's not injured. I guess maybe covering up that maybe at the ripe old age of 74, these little run-ins that he's doing, as physical as they may be or may not be, he's already getting injured, and that doesn't look good for when you're going into Suplex City come Sunday. We saw what happened the last time these guys met. We know that the surroundings and stipulations were different because we caught wind before that they were both leaving the company, so the crowd crapped all over the match, and those 2 never got into it. Do we get a better match on Sunday?
I mean, we know that Brock is hanging around. We don't know how long Goldberg. We know it's this one match, but does he hang around? Does he come back for anything else? Maybe, some talking segments. I don't know. But it's different because in this match, we know at least one of those guys are staying. So I feel like the crowd will be more receptive to them because both of them aren't leaving like the last time. So it's not just like, okay, well, why the heck are we even watching this? These are 2 guys that are here for a payday, and then they're riding off into the sunset. So I feel it's going to be more receptive on the crowd end. How the match is going to play out, I don't know. Goldberg is kind of hurting himself or tripping over stuff when he's in the ring now. But it's funny. While we're watching Raw, T. Holzerman on Twitter pointed out the fact that it's crazy that Goldberg has a better looking body right now than Brock Lesnar. I don't know if you were paying attention to Brock, but he is not looking like he's in the greatest of shape aesthetically.
No, I don't really pay attention to Brock's physique. I just assume that it's always muscles coming out of the neck at all times. But that could be due to his litigation with the UFC, not with the UFC, but with the Athletic Commission, because he is currently under investigation due to popping positive for steroids or HGH or some performance-enhancing drug. So he's trying to find a way to prove that he is not on steroids, that everybody's eyes are in backwards, I guess. So if he is actually trying to fight this and trying to actually compete in the UFC again, then maybe he is weaning off some of some of the things that may have given him an extra boost in years past. So that may be the issue of the physique. But that's controversial. We got a lot of other controversial things that we need to talk about this evening, Shane. Starting, I guess, with Joey Styles. I am sure you have not been living under a rock, but this past weekend, or I think it was this weekend, over at the Evolve show in New York City, they had a little moment of controversy when Joey Styles referred that he was going to grab a female, or excuse me, let me correct it. If Trump was there, then he would probably grab their ring announcer who was female and he left it at that, and then turn that comment towards his co-commentator. And he was then fired by Evolve, I believe fired by Shakara. And there was a lot of controversy going on. Should he have been fired? Should he not been fired? Is it okay to say a joke if it's clearly defined as a joke? Are we okay with the word? We'll leave it at that. And what do you think about this whole Joey Styles blow up that has gotten him lit on fire on Twitter?
Well, I guess Joey Styles did not remember because he was working for the WWE at the time, but I guess Joey Styles did not remember what happened to one Abraham Washington when he decided to go off script and say something that was deemed very inappropriate about Kobe Bryant, which happened years after, might I add.
Right.
But Joey Styles did something off script, and his was very recent.
Yes.
So I think, the fact that it was very recent made it a little worse for him. Now, yes, he did not say the word. And no, he did not, say that Trump was going to actually do this to the woman. It was a setup for him calling his co-announcer, Stokely Hathaway. It was a setup to calling Stokely a female cat. But I don't think it was necessary, and I can't fault them for going this way, because we see what one name is doing to this country. Donald Trump is evoking so much emotion, so much anger, and so much vitriol that I can see why a company, or couple companies, as Chikara also cut ties with him, would react this way. You have people out there like Dawn Marie and Mr. O'Sullivan from an indie company who are defending Joey Styles, or saying that Gabe, I won't butcher his name like you did, or Mike Quackenbush are overreacting. But these are the times that we live in.
No, Shane. No, I gotta stop you. You're wrong. How many people voted Mr. Trump into office? How many people? They accepted what he said, and this is in complete violation to a female. This is not a punchline. So America is okay with this talk. That is what the election has taught me. That they are okay. They accept it. They are not angry with this talk. You've mentioned two names that have come out and say, "Hey, it's okay. It was just a joke." Mickey James wrote a whole long paragraph, not a whole long paragraph, a whole long letter saying that it's okay. If it was her, if she was the subject of that joke, she would be with it because it was a joke. And then she even went as far as, "Hey, what did the female announcer have to say about it? Was she okay with it?" So it's a joke. It's the context of entertainment. Now, should you go around saying that you're going to do such? No, but if you are trying to do a storyline, why can't you walk on that edge? Why is it wrong to walk on an edge and get heat? It was not funny. I mean, it was a bad joke, and we don't want that to happen to the ladies. But this is a part of a storyline. If he's going to take his character and hey, if you don't think that he should be putting himself over, that's cool. But that's what he does. So if that's what he does, and if he wants to get that heat, why not?
Yeah, it's a bad joke. It was a bad joke. It wasn't funny. But I don't care if the person that he started out with felt okay with it or she wasn't offended. It At the end of the day, she's not the person in charge. So you and I, we could have like a disagreement. Like if we were in school, you and I are play fighting or whatever, but we know we're just joking around. But if it comes to administration seeing this and they step in and then we get in trouble, they have their reasons. They're in charge. They're put there for a reason, for preventative purposes. We don't know what this could do for the bottom line of the company. So Joanna could be like, okay, it was cool. I didn't have a problem with it. But Joanna ain't the one signing the checks. Joanna ain't the one trying to fill up the arenas or the bars that these people are having their shows at. So as the boss, you have to make sure that you're setting an example, because before the show, apparently Gabe said to Joey not to do any political, he should not have gone into the political arena. He was told not to. He even said that on the mic, that I was told not to do any political things. But so you blatantly disregarded your superior. I'm sorry. So if he does that and you just say, okay, you know what, it was a bad joke, she's okay with it, no problem, go, slap on the wrist, we'll talk to you another time. And then somebody else comes along and does something later like, okay, we know the boss said not to do this, but Joey did this before, so I'm going to go off script too. Joey set the precedent.
Maybe. I get that. Boss says, but everything goes. But I mean, let's be realistic. In 2016, not even in the world, not even what goes on in our daily lives. Let's keep it in the wrestling bubble. Is this as horrible or a worse offense than probably 9 out of 10 lines that come out of Jerry Lawler's mouth when he sees a female in the ring? I mean, I don't see it as any more derogatory than that. I know we have two different companies, but WWE is as PG as it gets, or so they like us to believe. So by comparison, I don't think the actual nature of the comment is anything worse than what we've heard out of his mouth.
I don't recall.
Come on. I couldn't give you a quote. I couldn't, but all the talk about puppies. I mean, I'm sure there are billions of
puppies,
things.
Okay, fine, puppies. We're talking about breasts. We ain't talking about vaginas. We talking about breasts. Guys got breasts too. I mean, you got some guys who got bigger breasts than some women. Yeah, we talking about puppies. We talking about sweater pillows. We're talking about those things. Chesticles, flotation devices. We talking about breasts.
Come on now.
It's different when you're talking about vaginas. It's different when you're talking about possibly going and grabbing those. I don't recall Jerry Lawler, as distasteful as his stuff is, and I could be wrong, but I'm trying to think of the times when he's talking about puppies or women where he's talking about like sexually assaulting them. Now I know he looks at them, in a sexually assaulting manner. Like I remember when like Paige was sitting at commentary, and he was looking at her and saying certain things, but I don't know if he's ever crossed that line, to what Joey Styles did. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to table that discussion, but I don't know. So he said that he apologized profusely to everyone. He said that Flow Combat, who is the new provider, which has ties and investments from the WWE, so maybe that adds to the controversy. They don't want to possibly have any kind of ill will with the WWE, even though Flow Combat is slowly becoming a big force of its own. It's basically the WWE network for all types of amateur and pro events that don't get ESPN like coverage. So you've got to walk that fine line when you have investors and things of that. Jeremy Botter, who is running things for Flow Combat, said he was upset, unlike what Joey Styles, or it was reported that Joey Styles said. So you have the promotion that's upset. You have the company that is hosting the promotion on their video streaming service upset. And then you have fans. The backlash was ridiculous. They tore him up. They didn't want Joey Styles. I saw one comment that kind of put things on perspective. They didn't want an ex-WWE hack coming in and basically destroying the indie promotions that they love by trying to put himself over all the time. So that was a very interesting comment. He was starting to get a lot of work on the indie circuit as the announcer, which is kind of weird because a lot of these promotions, Shane, already had their announce team, but because he has a name, he has a history, they were bringing him in to join them. So it doesn't look good for Mr. Styles from here on out. He's going to have to take a bit of a hiatus to see if he can make a comeback, if at all possible. So we shall stay tuned, and we'll find out. Other news in the news is Big Van Vader. Shane, have you read the headlines with Mr. Vader and what's going down with him all of a sudden?
Yeah, I read the headlines, and I know we had a discussion amongst the crew, and it's I can't recall, but is it congestive heart failure? It's something with his heart, right?
It is. The doctors have said that he's only got 2 years to live. And I don't know if you saw back this up just a step. He was in a pretty bad car accident just like a week or two ago, where he had black eyes and everything. Did you see that?
No. I only saw this, and shame on me for not doing my research fully, but I just happened to be on Facebook, and he was right there on the side of my Facebook as one of the trending topics.
Mm-hmm.
And all it said was that, Big Van Vader, his doctors are telling he has two years to live. I was just like, dang.
Yeah, so congestive heart failure is what they're saying about him, or what he's saying that he has. He says that the doctors, 2 different heart surgeons, have said that he has only 2 years left to live. And he was just in a major accident. So I don't know if being in this accident, this was on November 8th. He says, I walked away from this rollover. I am definitely hard to hurt. And he had 2 horrific looking black eyes. And I don't know if he got tested, by the docs after this, and maybe that's how he found out, because I haven't seen anything on how he came to this diagnosis. But yeah, he's got 2 years to live, and Mick Foley is now coming out on his behalf and trying to petition and try up some support on social media for him to get into the WWE Hall of Fame. Obviously, you want to see these guys get in before they pass, so they can, get the appreciation from all the fans and their colleagues. But heart condition aside, let's put that on the table for a moment. Is Big Van Vader, if this was a real Hall of Fame and folks like the Birdman weren't in, is he Hall of Fame worthy?
I think just for the fact that he was on Boy Meets World, yeah, I mean, I would put him in. Leon White was. I feel that he is Hall of Fame if you put his body of work together. He had his time in WWE, WCW. He was international. Yeah, I would say he's Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah, he was not his time in WWE seems like it was squandered or almost wasted. I'm a little bit disappointed with his run. I know he gained weight at some point in his run, and that definitely hurt it. But his bouts with Sting, minus that horrible skit, I don't know if you saw where they went up to, I forget what they call it, White Mountain or whatever, but the worst pro wrestling skit ever happened between Big Van Vader and Sting. If you haven't seen it, just look it up. So excluding that, his bouts with Flair, Davey Boy Smith come to mind, and then his brutal battles with Stan Hansen in Japan.
Right.
Man, those things were awesome. And then can we not forget, how can we leave out his battles with Cactus Jack? I mean, really, ripped a dude's ear off. So, this would be an express order. I don't know if he was even in the running for a 2017 induction. But what I'm reading on the online, it says that congestive heart failure, it could last for years, or you could actually have it for a lifetime. So maybe the doctors will get this one wrong. Maybe he'll be able to beat this thing in some way or form. But I gotta feel. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I have no clue. But being as big as he is, it just from what I'm reading, it's talking about it's because your heart is not pumping blood that well. But his weight has got to be a factor, I would imagine. Well, I mean, I just wonder if he could maybe lose some weight, and that maybe that won't cure him, but maybe that will definitely be able to extend his life. But 2017, I think we're all in agreement. I mean, who else is knocking on the door this year? Why not Vader? Bring him on in, I would say.
Well, they tend to do, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but they tend to do like one of those the word is escaping me, but when somebody dies.
Yep.
and I know he has 2 years left. So I'm not trying to kill this guy off. But it tends to be like one sad induction. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna do one of those posthumous. That's the word, humously. They're gonna induct somebody posthumously. So and that would be the sad one. I don't think that they would probably do him then as well. Maybe 2018. I mean, he could still be alive if it's 2 years. He might be pushing it, but he might still be alive. So maybe 2018. I don't know. It would just seem kind of. I mean, it would be a nice gesture on the WWE's part, but it would also seem like, oh, what did this guy have to be dying for you guys to put him in?
Yeah, and there's some people tweeting Vader for fame, or we riot, and things of that nature. So maybe if it gets a big enough head of steam, maybe he'll be able to get in. But I think he was going to get in eventually, but like I said, it's nice if you can appreciate someone if you know he's going to die, or even if there's a chance that he's going to pass away. Let's get this guy in before it actually happens, so he can actually celebrate and he can put that ring on and enjoy it with his friends and family. All right, Shane. Let's get off the dreary topics. Let's pick it up just a little bit, and we talked a little politics earlier with Joey Styles. Let's switch gears just slightly and talk about The Rock. In 2020, he says that it would be a great opportunity to help the people. So it's possible, he says, about running in 2020. This past election shows that anything can happen. Now, Shane Stokes pointed this out to me, as well as our whole group here, that no primary challenger has ever defeated an incumbent president of the same party. So he spoke at the 2000 Republican convention. So we are going to go ahead and assume at this point he is Republican, as is Donald Trump. Do you see The Rock making history, not being the man that he is, and becoming president in 2020, despite Trump being the same party?
I didn't even know The Rock was Republican before Stokes mentioned that. I'm not necessarily keen on Republicans, so when he said that, I was just like, oh, all that happiness and excitement that I had for The Rock, possibly running for president, it kind of like soured because he's Republican. I'm independent. My voter registration card, I'm listed as independent. I kind of wish that the world would understand that there's more than two parties, especially since the very first president, George Washington, said that he didn't want the United States to go to this whole party system, but they went there, and there's been these two main parties for so long: Republican, Democrats. In the past, there at least there were the Whigs and these other parties that got a little bit of shine. But getting off on a tangent, I'm not really a big fan of either party, but The Rock himself could be one of those Republicans that I actually would dig. I don't know what his stance would be on anything. It's not like he's Arnold, who's held some kind of political office before, but neither did Trump. But I think it would be cool to see The Rock possibly get in there. I know people are going to say, well, Trump has now opened the door for all of these non-politicians to become president. But, it's supposed to be a democracy. It's supposed to be of the people, for the people, by the people. So why can't regular people be president? It's not like you're by yourself. You have a team. So you situate yourself with some knowledgeable people. You have head coaches who go, never been coaches before, and they become a head coach. What do? They surround themselves with knowledgeable, possibly former head coaches. So it could work. I think The Rock is a very imposing figure. So, I could just imagine him, going to these meetings with, these world leaders, and our president is this guy that can probably bench press 500 pounds. I think that's pretty darn cool. And I could just see him, with his promos during these debates. I would think that's just hilarious. I think that would be entertaining. I don't know if he would win. I probably wouldn't even care if he won. I would just like to see The Rock doing these promos during his presidential debates.
I don't know. You called him. You're saying regular people could get up in this. I wouldn't necessarily call The Rock a regular person. But let's not forget, Shane. This is not just Rock versus Trump. Two WWE Hall of Famers.
True.
It's not that. We also have Kanye West. Is he not running in 2020? Come on. This is the greatest day to be alive for Americans, right? We got The Rock. Trump.
Is Kanye Republican also?
We're just not even going to have any other sides. No Democrats, no independent parties. It's going to be all Republican. We're going to move to one-party system, and they're all going to ballot off. And it could be a Royal Rumble. It could be one of these Survivor Series elimination matches that's going to get us our president. So,
I mean, I could. that's kind of crazy. Like, if they were all Republicans, like the Republican Party would just be, at this point, the Republican Party would be like, really, this is what we have become. We got this crazy lunatic in Donald Trump, and now we've got this giant former wrestling world champion Samoan dude who's The Rock. Does Trump question Rock's birth papers?
You better believe he does.
and then you throw this rapper in the mix who's Kanye West, who years ago, George Bush don't care about black people. I think that would make the Republican Party just blow their top. I can just imagine Marco Rubio and Paul Ryan, how they would react in 2020 if those were their top three candidates.
Hey, man, I'm just looking forward to The Rock assigning the Nation of Domination as his cabinet members. we got Mark Henry as the Secretary of Defense. I guess D'Lo would be Secretary of State. It's going to be amazing.
Don't forget Owen posthumously.
Can we do that? I don't know if that's legal. We'll have to hold off and see how that actually goes down. But so yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll have to see how this all shapes out. And I don't know if The Rock can put off making movies for 4 years. I know Arnold. I'm a lie and say Arnold was in. What's the Sylvester Stallone flick that has all the
Expendables?
Yeah, was he? Didn't he do a cameo while he was in the office? So maybe it's possible.
I don't see why The Rock would have to stop doing movies. I think that would set a precedent. I mean, was it? What's his name?
Reagan.
Was it Reagan? Was he the one that was with Marilyn Monroe? Was he an actor?
Was he in Marilyn Monroe?
We have one of our presidents that that got it on with Marilyn Monroe. I mean, was it Reagan? Was he the?
Are you saying he was an actor? Yes, he was a movie. He was an actor, but he also had some political experience as well. But I'm confused. You saying was he in? Are you saying did he have an affair with Marilyn Monroe? What are you talking about here? Or was he?
That was. I mean,
that's what you were getting at.
Look that up. Ronald Reagan and Marilyn Monroe were like real chummy. I don't know if he was a playboy. I mean, I thought
that was JFK,
or maybe it was JFK. Listen. I'm gonna Google. I started Googling and I see already Ronald Reagan flirts with Marilyn Monroe. I know Marilyn was with one of the damn presidents.
Yes, JFK.
It was JFK. It was JFK. But that doesn't stop her from possibly being with Reagan either.
Okay, I mean, I'm not going to disagree. It's possible. Interesting. So that's what we have to look forward to.
I am sorry, Marilyn Monroe offsprings or Ronald Reagan offsprings, if you're listening to the show.
Yes.
But I ain't gonna put it past any president. I'm pretty sure if I was president,
easy. You're married. You're married with babies.
By the way, I am married. Yeah, that changed since the last show. I am married now. I can share that with the world. I eloped. But I'm pretty sure if I'm president, there's that temptation. Like Flavor Flav. Flavor Flav had all the women, and he was on VH1. With a damn clock. Could you imagine if Flavor Flav was president? The amount of women throwing themselves at Flavor Flav. So, I could give Marilyn Monroe probably threw herself at Reagan too.
Why Flavor Flav always the go-to black guy for everything? He's just always getting his name dropped. Is he even alive?
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. There's one other thing I want to get to, but before I do, I'm trying to see if I can properly do this. And it doesn't look like I can. So I'm going to move on here. I'll come back to whatever the heck it is that I was trying to do as we're wrapping up here, Shane. I was a little concerned. I talked about this with Stokes not too long ago, about 2 months ago. No, maybe a little less than that. But the WWE, apparently it was reported that they had abandoned trademarks for Tony Nese and Drew Gulak, which was a red flag in the cruiserweight division for me, because if they are abandoning these trademarks, were they abandoning the wrestlers themselves? And that could not happen with the state of the cruiserweight division. To me, it's a little bit fragile. It's a little bit shaky. I think they have a long ways to go, and I think Tony Nese is a big player in this division. But rest assured, this past weekend, William Regal was on hand to hand Tony Nese a contract. What do you make of Tony Nese getting signed to a full-time contract by the WWE?
Bravo. I am a Tony Nese fan. I have been for a while. So bravo. Sign him to that contract. He deserves it. And, do some better things with that cruiserweight division so that man can continue being showcased.
Absolutely. So I did want to touch on that, since we had in previous weeks, we spoke about the conditions of the cruiserweight division and how it could be in shambles if they were letting go some of the key people. But as it could happen, the internet could be wrong, as it is from time to time, and they have signed one of their key components in Tony Nese. Shane, before we get off the air, I got to show some love to some people who've been showing us love. Hot Dog is here with us each and every week. I do appreciate that. I also want to show some love over on Twitter to Javon Lewis, JV Lewis 77. That's at JV Lewis 77. He's always sharing the show, and we hope you share it as well. Shane, tell the people where they can listen to Hit the Ropes Radio on their podcast networks.
All right. You can listen to Hit the Ropes on iTunes. You can listen to Hit the Ropes on Google Play. You can listen to Hit the Ropes on Stitcher, on Castbox. You can go to hittheropesradio.com, and that could be your one-stop shop for some wrestling articles. And guess what? Hit the Ropes Radio. If you can't remember Stitcher and Castbox and, the Google Play and every other place that you can get your podcast downloads from, you can just go over to the website and boom, we've got some links right there that can take you where you need to be. There's also Lisbon and all these other places. I'm pretty sure you just type in Hit the Ropes Radio and you'll find us. And not only that, we got beans, greens, tomatoes, lambs. We got all them stuff. You name it.
What commercial is that from?
Oh my God, where have you been, Darius?
I don't know.
I am gonna post that on your Facebook. That has been blowing up the internet all week.
Oh Lord. Well, I've been prepping for this show all week, Shane, so I haven't had time outside of WWE, Independence, TNA, ROH, Lucha Underground to focus on green beans. All right. But guys, I want to thank you. I know Kevin Carter's been looking to join us. I know Demetrius' son is looking to join us on the air. This coming Sunday, Shane, we are having our Wrestling with Friends. That is where we fire up the podcast machine at the very same time the pay-per-view is going live. So Survivor Series is going live. We're live. We want you to watch the show with us. So tune in here on YouTube on your computer, and then go ahead and put your WWE Network on your television. And we're going to be just kicking back and spitting some crazy mess as the show's going on. So this is going to be a companion podcast that we got going on this Sunday. So make sure as soon as the Survivor Series goes live that you tune in on YouTube, Hit the Ropes Radio Show, so that you can join in the conversation. If you are a listener and you want to join in the conversation, well, that may be possible too. If you want to get onto the air, just go ahead and hit us up on Twitter at Hit the Ropes, and we'd love to have some of these guys on with us as well. So we got a show on Sunday, and then we also have a show as we do each and every Wednesday. Please subscribe. Then you don't have to worry about all 52 ways we're on the internet. If you subscribe, you'll get it each and every week automatically. And please, please, please don't forget to rate us 5 stars. Give us the thumbs up. Retweet the show. All that great stuff. Shane, do you have anything else for the people before we call it a night?
5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. We like that Trapper Keeper. 5-star notebook.
I got that reference. And with that, guys, thank you. Have a great, great weekend. We'll see you this Sunday for our Survivor Series companion show right here on YouTube. Peace.
Peace.